Hi, I'm Dave Monty and welcome to my video series, Everything Villages. Today is part one of a three-part series on pricing. We're going to talk about how important it is to get pricing right out of the gate, especially if you're listing, and how to do a market analysis, so stay tuned. Stay tuned. Before we get started, as always, a couple of housekeeping items. If you like this video, please hit like. If you like my video series, please subscribe to my channel. Both those actions help these videos reach more people, and I greatly appreciate it. If you'd like a copy of my free 42-page guide, Buying and Selling a Home in the Villages, which contain a lot of the information that I have in my videos, you can email me right here at Dave Monty, right there, at davemontysales@gmail.com, and I'll send you out your copy. Also, I recently updated my cost of living calculator, as you can see it up on the screen right now, and I kind of blew it out from the original version, which was just kind of show you what the housing costs here, to a full-blown budgeting tool. So if you like a copy of that, you can also email me right here at davemontysales@gmail.com. Now, like I said in the introduction, this is part one of a three-part series on pricing. And what we're going to talk about is the importance of getting pricing correctly out of the gate, especially if you're listing your home, as well as buying a home. You want to make sure you're not overpaying for a home. And I'm going to talk about how to perform a market analysis and kind of show you the steps that I go through whenever I'm helping a buyer buy a home, make sure they're not overpaying, or helping a client list a home again, which is critical to get pricing correct. In part two, we'll talk about location, lot types, and in part three, we'll talk about the features, functions of the home, and the things that will affect the price of the home in staging versus decor here. Now, pricing a home, there's a process that we go through, and again, that's what this video is going to show you, is what that process is. But pricing can be subjective. What's the value you put on a lot? What's the value you put on a location? What's the value you put on a view? What's the value you put on a home with how well it shows? Some of those can be fairly subjective in nature. However, in a very homogeneous environment like the Villages, you can get fairly accurate pricing because it is homogeneous, because there are 15 courtyard villas right on the same street and are very similar in nature. So getting pricing is a little bit of a science and a little bit of an art. Okay. Well, let me put this other bullet up here too, because then I'll lead into this third bullet. I'm fortunate enough, because of this YouTube channel, to deal with a lot of different clients, and it's probably a majority of them are buyers, which affords me to go into many homes here in the Villages. So I see what buyers like, what they're willing to pay a premium for, what they dislike, and the fact that I have been in so many homes, a lot of times I can walk into the home, kind of look at the square footage, and be pretty close with the back of the napkin analysis. And I'm going to show you the difference between back of the napkin and a full comp. I would never list a house with a client without doing a full comp, nor would I ask a client to make an offer on a house without doing a full comp. My goal in any transaction is to give either my listing clients or my buying clients enough information to make an informed decision. All right. So it is critical to get pricing right, especially if you are listing a home. Now, I'm going to go through the different situations. Ideally, what you want to do is you want to list the home right around fair market value, or just above fair market value, and negotiate down to a fair market value. Everyone wants to get the most out of their home, but a lot of times if you're dealing with two competent real estate agents, whoever is listing the home and whoever is helping the buyer on the side, typically you'll arrive pretty close to what fair market value is for the home. Okay, so what happens if you have a price that's too low? Well, in an incredibly strong seller's market that we had about a year ago, often if it got priced too low, the market would correct it. Okay? Meaning you would get many people in with multiple offers, and that price would be bid up closer to fair market value, if not over fair market value. But the market has shifted. And currently we're in a more of a balanced market. We're still seeing offers, but we're not seeing nearly as many multiple offers. So if you price your home too low, you risk someone coming in and giving you that list price offer, which is well below fair market value. Now, excuse me, this just happened to me. I take pride in the market analysis that I do, and then sometimes it can be overwhelming because I'm pretty analytical, and I almost feel bad that I didn't do a better job on a listing appointment. I just recently lost a listing. I did a full market analysis. I even showed them how I did my work, and I came up with a price in the low 400s for this particular home. Then they had an amazing lot. It was a great location, huge backyard, one of the bigger ones that I've seen in the villages. And I put, again, a little bit subjective, I put an $80,000 to $90,000 value on that lot. So in my estimation, we should have listed the home like a little bit under $500,000. Well, they didn't choose me. They went with another listing agent who they do a great job. But they listed the house at what I had set as a value for the house alone, not including the lot. And it sold in one day in this market. And it sold for, I don't know if it sold for list price. I'm assuming it did. But I'm assuming they also left about $60,000 on the table. Okay, so, if you're going to list your home, I think one of the most important things an agent can do when selling a home is actually setting the correct price for the client. Some agents will put intentionally a low price because they want the home to sell quick. Okay? Some agents will come in and tell clients what they want to hear, which is a high price. And as as someone who likes to do well by her clients, I get frustrated if I lose a listing appointment and all of a sudden I see it listed and it's like, oh my God, they're asking way too much for the house and it'll never sell. And I've got many instances of that happening. And then sometimes you see pricing too low and it sells right away and you're going, oh my God, they left so much money on the table. So personally, I take pride in it. If you are going to list your home, have the agents step through how they do their market analysis and show you their homework, because this is your money when you go to list the house and you want to make sure that it is accurate. And I'll just leave it at that. Okay. All right. What if your initial price is too high? Right? Now, often if your price is too high, a lot of people think, wow, I'm going to get over fair market value. But often, especially as this market is changing, that will backfire. Now, 6-7 months ago, people were putting way too high of a price on, and a lot of times they were getting that price. Okay, but as this market is shifting, what will happen is as the home stays on the market longer and longer, your resolve as a seller gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and then finally someone comes in and makes a decent offer, but it is below market value, okay, and you accept it. Okay, so starting off with an initial price a lot of times will backfire, and there's many cases of this. So, it's price drop, price drop, price drop. Buyer comes in and goes, they keep dropping their price, so they must be desperate, and they'll do a lowball offer, and you negotiate, and you end up, maybe near fair market value if you're lucky, but a lot of times often below fair market value. Your ideal goal here is to list just above fair market value. Give yourself a little room to negotiate, and just make sure you're not leaving money on the table. So this is always my goal. My goal is always to be above this, okay, and then negotiate down to fair market value. Now, I don't set pricing. We'll get to that. I'm going to show you how to do a market analysis. But all a market analysis does is give a client information enough to make a decision, okay? Because when you set a price of a home, there's other circumstances that go along with it. Do you need to get rid of the home quickly? Are you okay with waiting for a while? Are you just trying to make a lot of money? Are you trying to take advantage of a strong seller's market? There's a lot of other factors that go into it. It's not just the math. We're going to talk about a couple things to avoid. Number one, happy ears. And what do I mean by happy ears? Well, as sellers and buyers, we hear the numbers that are advantageous to us. So if I tell you this house is going to sell between 500 and 550, I bet the buyers out there are thinking, wow, I could pick this home up for 500. And as a seller, I bet you honed in on this number, 550. Because as a seller, you want to get most that you can for the home, and as a buyer, you want to pay the least you can for the home. Now, that's what I call happy ears. Happy ears are listening to the numbers that are more advantageous to you. Now, this is incredibly important, especially for people who are listing their homes. I walk into a lot of listing appointments, and I'm talking to a client I can tell who had happy ears, meaning they talked to this neighbor and that neighbor, and this neighbor said they had the 2 streets over that a model identical to our house sold for $600,000, and they said that our house is nicer than theirs. Now, what that neighbor might not know is that other house might have a bigger backyard. It might have a finished lanai. It might have had things that will affect the price of the home. And there's a reason why it was priced at that. Now, in that listing appointment, the home might be comparable, but trust your real estate agent, who should be an expert in the market, and not your neighbor who's talking to Susan, who talked to Larry, and Larry said this house sold for that. So watch out for happy ears. The other thing to avoid is online estimates. Okay, so I would avoid these like the plague. Even Zillow lost $390 million in one quarter a few years ago because they were relying on their Z estimates in order to make offers on homes. So they had a home buying service where they would buy them and put them back on the market, try to make a little bit of profit. But they lost so much money because their Z estimates were inaccurate. And why are they inaccurate? And I mean, you'll see that as we step through, like what steps we go through in these homes. A online tool is not going to see what's inside the house. They're not going to see the upgrades. They're not going to see how well it shows. They only can make their pricing based on what the home initially sold for, what the price per square foot is in the area. And a lot of times they use an entire zip code and not even just right around the house, and what's going on from a market trend standpoint. So these are wildly inaccurate. So if you go up there, I think they're okay if you're going, all right, is my home appreciating? Well, it appreciated, and you get a good sense of what the market is. So say I have a $400,000 home, and I looked at that, and then 2 months later it's $425,000, and that's what was happening about a year ago. You know that, yeah, the market has continued to increase, but there's no way that number is entirely accurate. So don't rely on online estimates, whether it's Redfin, Zillow, HomeLight, Ownerly. You see them all the time. Really, they advertise those things, so you go up there and you put all your information in, and next thing you know, you're getting inundated with emails, right, to use one of their agents. So let's talk about how a market analysis is done, and I'm going to do this at a very high level. Right? So, and then I'll, just to kind of just show you what is done here. Now, here's my subject home. It is an average size home. It's got a 2-car garage and a golf cart garage. That's my attempt at some fancy drawing here. Okay. Now, what you end up doing is this: is you have a subject home, and I know what elements are in the subject home. Now you're going to go into the MLS, and we're going to search on homes that are right around the same location. We try to take as many variables out, has the same number of bedrooms. And then what you're going to do is then you're going to adjust the comparable properties. So you never adjust the subject property. What I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, let's make this comparable property look as close as possible to my subject property. And what cost adjustments do I need to make in order to make it look like this? And then basically what you do is you start taking some averages and do some analytics on the numbers. So in this case, this particular home looks like it's a little bit smaller. Okay, so I need it to be larger. So I have to increase the price due to the fact of the size of the home. I also, I'm going to go back. I also have to add a golf cart garage. Okay, so I increase in size, add a golf cart garage. So I have to add a golf cart garage. So, and you'll find it in other videos. This can be done by square foot, and usually you're looking between $15,000 to $20,000 for a golf cart garage. That's what it adds in the value. Let's come down to this one. Now, this is my failed attempt at hardscape. So I got some really nice landscaping, hardscape. I actually have to take that away to look like this. So I'm going to have to take away the hardscape and add this golf cart garage. So I remove there and I add the golf cart garage. Now I'm going to go to my last property. Obviously, it's a little bit bigger, and really I just need to decrease the size. So I decrease the price of this home and size. So that's what we do. We're going to go through and we're going to look at all these comparable properties. The more the merrier. Okay? And I tend to do that. I tend to try to use as many homes as possible in order to do my market analysis. Okay, so items that will affect pricing. Does it have a view? Does it have a pool? What's the location? Is it stucco versus siding? Is it a golf cart garage? How well does it show? Are there upgrades to the home? And I kind of put these in order of what affects pricing here. Location might have, has a definite effect on pricing, but the view here or the lot type has a huge swing on pricing. A pool will add a lot of money to a home. Stucco and vinyl versus vinyl, you're probably looking $25,000 to $30,000 difference. Golf cart garage, $15,000 to $20,000 difference. Condition of the home can be $20,000. Okay, so all of these things will affect the price of the home. Okay, now this is kind of an example of what I do. And in this case, I use, there's like 12 homes there about. And in this particular case, I did this one in the middle of the season. I actually just grabbed one. I didn't do one special for this video. And a lot of pendings and a lot of solds and very little active because there was very few active homes there. What I'll do is I'll go in and I'll search for homes that sold within the last couple of months. You'll go in and look at the ones that just went pending. I plug in all the numbers. Here's the address. Here's what it sold for. Here's the square footage. This little section in here will start adjusting these homes for size, so I don't have to do that individually. My goal, though, a lot of times is to pick homes that are very similar in size. As you can see in here, this one might be a little bit out, but anyway, I went between 1,500 and 2,000 square feet for this particular home. Okay. Then what we'll do is I will step down and look at the larger items. Okay, so I look at the internal features. How well does it show? Are there upgrades that one house has over the other house? And again, we'll talk about what these values are. What does the lanai look like? Does it have a summer kitchen? Does it not have a summer kitchen? Is there a pool? Is there a bird cage? All of those things will factor in. And I can see here, this particular house had a hot tub that I had to take out. So I minused out $20,000 there. I'm assuming that the $20,000 here is a golf cart garage and maybe some stucco or even landscaping in there. But I try to, when I show my notes to my clients, I tend to put little notes here so I can tell them what large adjustments that I made on the home. When I sit down with my clients and show them the work that I've done, I try to pick the one that to me was the closest, fewest adjustments and the ones that look very similar in nature. Now, once all this is done, you don't come up with and just average these out and they go, here's your price and this is what you're going to list it for. What I do is I have an average price of $488, I have a low range and a high range. And then we just take a look at, okay, while I've already adjusted for how well the home shows, we might make another little adjustment in there. Also, math does not set the price of the home. Okay? All it does is it gives us a guidepost and some guardrails in order to which set the price. Is the market shifting? Okay? So if I'm in a down market, and I just look back 3 months, there's a chance that the pricing has gone down a little bit. If I'm in an up market, then we might add a little bit of an adder to that because I'm still looking back in time. But what is going on right now in the market? Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? What are the seller's motives? If you need to dump the house, you might have to put a little bit lower of a price on for whatever reasons. You need to get out quickly. However, if it's a strong seller's market and you're trying to take a stab at making a large profit and don't care if your home sells or not, and it's okay if it sits on the market for a while, then let's put a little bit of a higher price on it. And then lastly, even if you get it wrong, like I said, I kind of showed you that in the first few slides while getting it critical, is that the market tends to correct itself, but you really got to understand the market that you're in. If you put too low of a price on a home as a seller in a very strong seller's market, you may end up getting a much higher price for your home because you might get a bidding war. But as this market starts to soften and you put too low of a price and someone gives you a list price offer, which you think is really good, you may have left a lot of money on the table. So those are conversations to have with your agent. That concludes part 1 of this 3-part series on pricing, and I'll give you a little bit of summary here. It's critical to get your price right, whether you're listing your home or whether you're buying a home. You don't want to leave money on the table, and you don't want to overpay or undersell your home. So make sure that you're real estate agent, whoever you choose, hopefully it's me, is doing a full market analysis, whether you're going to list your home or buy your home. Have your agent show you their work. Okay? How did they arrive at this price? Okay? Did they just, pick, happy years? We talked about happy years in this. I remember during the height of the season, it was like, I asked the agents, like, how did you arrive at this high price? Well, that one house on the other side of the villages sold for that much. It's like, well, it had a pool. This one doesn't have a pool. It had this, had that. So you do get some agents who also have happy years and such. So, ask your agent to show you their work. Okay? Lastly, just real quickly, a summary is that really how it's done is as many homes as you possibly can that is sold around the same time or are active or pending, things that are in play within the last month or two that are very similar in size, really close to your location. And then on those properties, comparable properties, you make price adjustments. You kind of average those out to figure out what the pricing is on the home. And then you sit down with either the buyer or the seller and discuss this as one data point in them trying to set pricing. Okay? Anyway, hope you found that. Sometimes it's hard to wrap these up with on a high note. Okay, but hopefully you found that a little bit informative. Please look for part 2 and part 3 of this series to show you what adjustments are made when doing a market analysis. Again, if you like this video, please hit like. If you like my series, please subscribe to it. Also, if you'd like a copy of my free 42-page guide, Buying and Selling a Home in the Villages, you can email me right here at davemontysales@gmail.com, or my cost of living calculator, same email right here, davemontysales@gmail.com. I hope to be seeing you around the villages. Take care.